Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Chan, and I'm the co-founder of Final Bow for Yellowface. Welcome to today's episode of What's the Tea, a daily conversation with a dancer of Asian descent during the month of May to celebrate Asian Pacific Heritage Month, to highlight the achievements and experiences of being Asian in dance. I'm very excited to chat with a new friend today, Naomi Tanioka, who is a dancer with Kansas City Ballet and who's also raising money for Kansas City Ballet's Corona Relief Fund. Naomi, nice to meet you. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So first of all, let's just kick us off with what you're raising money for today, just in case we have some crazy rich Asians who are tuning in today. How can we support you and your artistry?
Yeah, so we are doing Artist Relief Fund for Kansas City Ballet. Since this pandemic, obviously, like many other companies around the whole entire world, our season has been canceled, and but Kansas City Ballet has been so great, and they are paying the dancers and their staff, and it's been so wonderful, but obviously we don't have any income from performance, and school has been shut down, so we really need help from everyone right now, and so if you can be our hero and donate money and support the art, art is something that is probably not a necessity, and it's something that's going to be suffering for not just during this pandemic, but to recover from the pandemic. It's going to be a long time until we get to a state that we were before, and so any help, we really appreciate it, and if you can go to our website and donate for us and help us out, it would be so wonderful.
Great. There's a campaign that I'm a part of here in New York with Dance NYC called it's that arts workers are necessary workers. They're not essential workers, but they're necessary workers. So I think it's, especially as we are recovering post-COVID, I think the arts are actually a very important part for us to find our humanity, to reconnect with each other, and the arts, unlike any other thing, are a great way to do that. So hopefully everybody tuning in can support Kansas City Ballet. So first of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you were maybe looking forward to this season? How have you been doing? How are you adjusting to this period, this crazy period in all of our lives?
Yeah, so this is my first season with Kansas City Ballet, and I've been so fortunate to have all the opportunities that I was giving during this season, and it was cut back short, and I just miss my coworkers and miss dancing in the studio and just creating art and creating something so beautiful, and it's been a tough time to just stay at home and try our best to keep our body in shape and keep our inspiration and motivation. But recently I had a friend from Cincinnati Ballet, where I used to work. He has asked some of our dancers who danced with him for his piece in the past to film a little bit clips of our dancing, and he put it together and had a little collaboration of dancers, and people are still creating art, and people are still getting inspired by other dancers, and it's just so great that we're so connected still, and I hope we can dance in the same room again, and I'm so looking forward to that.
It's sort of like a testament to our own resilience as human beings. Like,
Right.
you can keep us at home, you can, but we're still gonna keep trying to
Mhm.
make art and finding beauty and connecting with
Yeah.
each other. It's like part of our nature that we just can't
Hmm.
ignore. So,
Hmm.
um, glad that you're getting that outlet still.
Yeah.
Um, so for our viewers who might not know you,
Mhm.
we'd love to know about your background. Where did you start your dance
Yes.
training?
Yes.
And like, how did this all start for you?
Yeah. So I originally started dancing in Japan, little studio in Sapporo, Hokkaido. Um, and I just started dancing because my friend was doing ballet, and I was a very energetic child, and I always wanted to go outside and run around, and my parents were looking for some outlet that I can have to express myself more, and that was the perfect opportunity. I loved it. As soon as I took my first class, I just fell in love with it. I even loved the look of having a bun and leotard, and it was just the whole experience felt magical to me, and from then on I've just um, kept my love for ballet. Um, and I moved to Canada, Winnipeg, Manitoba, and joined the Royal Winnipeg Ballet School um, at 13, and to get a professional ballet training there. It was hard to move away from my family, and I didn't speak any English, and I got homesick and everything, but it was I think I was just so driven and so amazed by all the new stuff that I was given, and seeing and just soaking up everything, and it was just a great time. I really had an amazing time training in Canada, and making friends, and connecting with so many people. I always feel like dancers are everyone feels like we're family, and we just connect with each other so well, because the only people that go through the same thing can relate with each other, and it just feels so nice to have so many people that are supportive and going through the same thing. So it was a great great experience, and then I worked with Ballet Arizona for 2 years, and Cincinnati for 3 years, and now I'm working with Kansas City Ballet, and I cannot be happier. I love the company and all the dancers, and it's I feel so inspired every day, and just again I connect with all the dancers, and I feel like I'm already accepted and a part of it, and it's been so wonderful.
Good. And at what point in your training were you like, okay, I'm going to do this as a job, not just like, oh, this is a fun place for me
Right,
to go, but like, when was it like, no, I want to go be a professional dancer?
right. I think my first change was when I was in Japan, and I did a competition, and it's the I guess like the motivation wasn't um it was I was so competitive, and I wanted to do well, and that was driving me to practice, and it wasn't so much for um the drive now for me for like artistry and creating it, but I was I felt like it was something that I can push myself for, and I can make it a goal. And so after that point, I knew that I had to do whatever I need to do to get to a next level, and maybe it's leaving my family and leaving my country, and going into something completely new. But I was so motivated, and that's what made me push myself to be a professional.
Yeah. And can you tell me a little bit about the difference between the training you received in Japan versus in Canada?
Right.
I think even being in Japan, I assume you were in ballet classes with all Japanese people,
Hmm.
and then suddenly you go to Canada and maybe you're
Right.
one of a few suddenly in the room, and it's not all Japanese people.
Right.
What was that cultural difference for you, and how did you handle that?
Yes. Um, I thought the biggest difference was Japanese, um, as a country. Um, we don't have the same support for the art that we have here, and even though there's professional ballet schools and professional companies, it's very few compared to United States, where every province, every city will have a ballet company, and abundance of ballet schools. And um, our ballet training was always mostly to go to a competition and perfect a variation for a competition, and step into another training from the competition and get into another school. And so when I got to Winnipeg, I felt like the training was solely a classical technique, and it was too it was a training to get into a company and bring be in a professional company, and we did a lot of corps de ballet work, um, and we did get to see our company perform all the time, and having that opportunity was very different from my school in Japan.
One, and also I think in Japan, the company structure is also very different too. I mean, in
Mhm.
some companies you pay to dance with a
Right,
dance
right.
company. Can you
Yes,
tell our viewers who might not know about that system, about how
yes,
it works in Japan?
yes. So a lot of the Japanese companies, unlike the companies here, the dancers aren't contracted. So they get paid per performances, but also um, they are obligated to sell their own tickets. So they have to buy the hundreds of tickets from the company and sell it on their own to make a profit for themselves. So it's a very different situation from companies in the States, where we are very protected, and we get health care, and yeah, I feel so blessed to have that here.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a chance in the future to go back to Japan and kind of
Right,
change the institutional system to be
right.
more supportive in the
Yeah,
future. I'll
yeah.
bet it must be hard when you're trying to focus on, being a beautiful character, to also have to worry
Mhm.
about having to sell 20 more
Right,
tickets tonight when you get home after a long day of rehearsal,
right,
because the
for
show's
sure.
next week. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your parents. Like, did they ever feel strange that their daughter was dancing in this like old European dance form, as opposed to something Japanese, or like
Right.
why ballet as opposed to another traditional Japanese dance
Right.
form?
My mom was always so supportive for me, which I'm so grateful for, because I know a lot of my friends' family have very strict idea and how they should pursue their career, and my mom has always wanted what I wanted, and she respected my view and what I wanted. So I've been so blessed. And um, my dad, when I was in Japan, he um, did not come to any of my shows, and he didn't really um, understand the he didn't really see ballet as a professional job, which I can understand, since it is hard to make it a career in Japan. And he never directly told me to stop dancing and pursue schooling instead, but I kind of always felt like that's what he wanted me to do. And but when I got my first job in Bella, Arizona, he actually flew all the way from Japan and saw the Nutcracker there, and that was the first time he ever seen me perform on stage.
Wow, what were you dancing?
I was a doll, and I was in the snow scene, of course, the snowflake and flowers, and um, and he still was very impressed, and he knew there that that was my career, and I was a professional ballet dancer, and he was very happy for me, and that was just a great moment for me.
And how do your parents about your career now? Um,
They're super happy for me. My mom comes flies from Japan to see my shows all the time, and whenever she comes, she sees every single show, and just always thinking for me, and if I ever send her a picture, she's so happy about it, and it's a great support to have.
Great. So tell me a little bit about your own, your ethnic and cultural heritage, and to what degree do you think being Japanese has informed your experience as a ballet dancer?
Mhm.
And do you bring your anything from your culture into your dancing?
Right. I feel like as when I was training in Japan, um, I've learned so much about discipline and how to um, how how important hard work is, and to um, always trying to do better than better for yourself, and do more than your peers, and um, I just feel like that drive and push has always stayed with me, and
Do you think that's uniquely Japanese though, or do you think that's all dancers, have to
right,
have that mentality? So
right.
to what degree is that, do you think, your Japanese heritage versus just being a hardworking, obsessive dancer who has to get it right?
Right. I feel that and because ballet is traditionally coming from Europe, and it didn't start from Japan. So, but I feel that Japanese people always um, cares cares that it's from another place and wants to perfect it just like how it came from.
So you have to be just as good as the Europeans, and
Right,
it's a source of pride to say that, hey, we can do it too. So it
right,
pushes you
right,
to work harder
right.
in some ways.
So I feel that we were always taught to look at European dancers and be as good as them or even better, and so I always feel like um, we are different in a way, um, but I can still push to um, push myself to be as um, how it came from Europe.
Yeah, I mean, you can show that you can do it in the exact same way as well.
Right.
So tell me, I'm not sure if you've had any experiences as an outsider,
Hmm.
inside this European art form, but have you personally faced any discrimination or any experiences with having to change your racial makeup in any way to be a
Hmm.
performer that you'd be willing to share with us?
So it's funny because um, I felt like I was changing it more when I was in Japan, almost because we were all told to told to put on more fair tone than our actual skin tone, and we would put foundation on our body, on our arms, and every part that was showing to make ourselves lighter. And and we always were taught to um, do our makeup so our eyes were bigger and we had more definition, and we looked more like a European ballerina. And I came to Canada and United States, and that was just not something any of our dancers did, to paint our bodies in white foundation. So so I felt more accepted as an Asian dancer, and it's okay to have a different feature and um, different color skin.
So when you're not trying to emulate a European look,
Hmm.
how did you discover for yourself as a professional what does it mean to look like a Japanese person on stage and not to pretend to be European? How did you discover that for yourself?
I just it's more like what I feel most beautiful on myself, rather than trying to become someone else, and finding what kind of makeup suits my face, and what um, shows my personality, um, and my character that I'm dancing, rather than one kind of makeup that I'm supposed to do.
Can you maybe give us some specifics, makeup specifically? Like, how did you said you used to make your eyes look bigger? Was there a
Right.
certain point that you had to change what you were doing with your makeup to look more like you? And what exactly did you do? Because there might be some young Asian dancers who are watching now who are
Hmm.
having questions about, okay, how do I do my makeup on
Hmm.
stage? So can you maybe share like the two different ways of doing it and what
Right.
that looks like?
So I was always taught to almost almost just draw eyes. So with dark, very black eyeliner, I would start the eyeliner way further inside of my eye, draw it, and have it way above my eye, and do the same thing for my bottom eyeliner, and have it filled with the inside part with white, so it looked like I had bigger eyeballs and bigger eyes. And I also had very, very dark crease to make it a more defined crease in your eyes. And but I felt like it just completely changed my face, and it wasn't me anymore. So I draw eyeliner closer to my eyes. I still have the whites inside, but it's not as clayed on the way I used to do my eye
I'm
makeup.
sure when you were little up close, you probably looked very different and scary, but I'm sure
Right.
from a distance, it might look normal, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
That's not even a good word to use in this case because it's not normal, but you know, it gives some illusion. Let's just
Mhm.
put it that way.
Yes.
So in general, you know, just zooming out a little bit, how well do you think, how are we doing in the ballet community when it comes to dealing with race? You know, a lot of our classical ballets were choreographed, you
Right.
know, hundreds of years ago, so they have very different ideas about race, and so we're still performing a lot of those ballets. So,
Hmm.
you know, how do you think we're doing as an industry, and you know, what can we be doing better?
Right. Kansas City Ballet actually changed for this Nutcracker. Devin Carney, our director, he actually redid his second act T part, which used to be very different, and had a very traditional makeup, but
Do you mean, when
um,
you say traditional, do you mean traditional Chinese, or what do you mean
uh,
traditional makeup?
like a traditional Nutcracker Chinese makeup. So
So yellow
um,
face.
right, yes.
Yes.
Um, but he changed the choreography that used the fingers, and he changed the makeup so it wasn't um, just lines and the pink cheeks, and just not very following Chinese traditional dance, and and so I feel like, and it's not just Kansas City Ballet. I see it in a lot of places are trying to change from what's been done for so long, which I think it's amazing, because it's easy to just stick with what's been done, and um, keep it the same and say that it's classical ballet. So I think it's changing, and that's a great thing.
What, so you've danced with a few different companies
Yes.
in your career. So you've probably been in a lot of, you know, several different Nutcrackers. What is your impression when you, as an Asian person, see a yellow-faced Chinese Nutcracker? How does that make you feel?
It's it's just it's I just almost it's almost normal now, because I've seen it so many times in so many different companies, use the same makeup and same kind of dance form, and so and the Nutcracker is something that I've seen since very young, and every year. So it's just become the norm for me. And actually, when Kansas City Ballet changed the dance and talked about it, is when I really almost realized what it was doing to affecting other Chinese or Asian audience, and what it was portraying. So yeah.
I think it's so hard when you come across something like this where it's tradition, and especially,
Right.
I mean, even Gina and I, like, we've had our own evolution on this issue, because when everybody is doing it and everyone
Right.
has been doing it for hundreds of years, how can
Right.
it be wrong?
Right.
You know, and
Right.
so you just sort of accept it without thinking. And then at some
Mhm.
point you realize, oh, when we're trying to bring in more Asian people to be board members and students in the
Right.
school, and um, like and dancers in the company, like, how can we have those two things exist at the same time? It
Right.
becomes more and more difficult, especially
Yeah, for
when our
sure.
companies look more diverse. So thank you for sharing that. And
Yeah, of course.
it's I think it's still a lot of people, even Asians, are still chewing on this and seeing how they feel about it. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm really glad that you're in an environment that is open. I'm really glad Kansas City Ballet is having this conversation and doing the hard work
Right.
to do better. So it must feel good as an Asian dancer to have that
Yes,
be your home.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah. So thinking about young dancers who are trying to find their place in the community, what advice would you have them? I know you're somebody who has a lot of drive and has pushed yourself really hard. What would you say to a dancer who really also wants to have this career, and is not quite sure how to get there?
Right. So I've had so many rejections and critiques from many companies trying to find a job and auditioning, and I just want young dancers to never give up and just push themselves. And if it's what you love, if this ballet and dancing is in your heart, and what you want as your career, and what you want to put on performance for to inspire other people, then it's possible, and not to lose that drive and spark and motivation, and it is so rewarding, and it is so worth every effort that you put into this art form, and it's so beautiful to create and inspire other people, and work with amazing dancers, and so don't lose the love for this ballet, and yeah, it's beautiful.
Great. And also thinking about the other side of the footlights. I'm just thinking about how we get more Asian people involved in ballet as audience members, as donors, as students, as volunteers. So I think post coronavirus, when we all start to kind of come out of our houses, what do you think we need to do to get more people who look like us to come to the
Mhm.
ballet,
Yeah.
especially from maybe Japanese culture that might not have exposure to this? How would you bring more of those people into
Mhm.
ballet as supporters and audience members?
Yeah, I feel like, speaking from a Japanese point of view, um, a lot of our audience in Japan are still very, they like to see classical ballet, and they like to stick with what they know, and I feel like if we can get them to accept the more contemporary ballet and new art form, more people will
Get involved.
be involved. Yeah, to
It's
this.
so funny that a lot of efforts in the United States to get younger audiences often use contemporary programs,
Right.
which actually are also like harder to sell. Like a triple bill is harder to sell than like Swan Lake,
Right.
for a lot of older audiences. So it's just
Right.
very funny that like in Japan,
Mhm.
Giselle or Swan Lake might be a better way to get involved with ballet, whereas in the United States, maybe seeing something more contemporary might be a better
Right.
place. So
Right.
another interesting cultural difference there.
Yeah.
Um, well, thank you so much for sharing your stories today and your experience.
Thank
I hope
you.
we have lots of young Asian dancers out there, if they're looking for a role model, to definitely learn more about you and follow your career. So thank you everybody who took the time to tune in today. Thank you again, Naomi, for chatting with me. And be
Thank
sure
you
to
so
check out
much.
our Instagram page right now to see who tomorrow's dancer will be. And tune in at noon at Eastern time tomorrow for our next conversation. Thank you again, Naomi.
Thank you.